Welcome everyone back to Ron Guns Art and Fitness. Last week we did 2010. Now this week, for this weekend, I'll be doing 2011. Alright, so where we left off with 2010, it was mostly about consistency and just being on top of everything, to where all of a sudden, beginning of 2010, was at 292, dropped all the way to 271. But, which is good, because again, it's showing a progression from where I started at 2008 all the way down to 2010. Now we're marching into 2011, and we're looking at when I started off at around 271, but then I ended up shifting all of a sudden to 262, and then down to 234, which is my magic number. That's always been the weight that I've always been the most comfortable in, and mostly the hardest to maintain myself at. It's like I get there, but I never stay there. My body just goes up and down, which is actually the main central point of 2011. It was a year where there was a lot of up and down. It wasn't like I was at 262 and then stood at 234 and finished the year at 234. I would say between July and August of 2011, I was at 234, but I did not stay there. So I would all of a sudden jump up to in the 250s and 260s, and that's where my weight would, kind of like a fish swimming up and down the water. That's just how it was. When it came to my training, consistency was always there. Same thingamabob. Now, where things started changing was, of course, I was in a relationship that was full of swings. Up and down, left and right, side to side, 360, 180, 90 degrees, whatever, you name it. I was up and down. And a lot of the stress from that relationship led to moments of where I would be in depression. And then when those depressive moods would kick in, guess what decided to start knocking on my door? My old eating habits. Yeah, it's the son of a gun right there. You would have my old eating habits trying to resurface, right? So while I was beginning to eat better and everything, all of a sudden I was eating out a lot more again. I was eating a lot of stuff that I really had no business eating. So it would keep me away from staying in that direction. And then the other problem that would happen is, right, through those on again, off again, peak and valleys, through that relationship I was in, what would happen is my appetite would be, it would just, finagle on me. It'd get a little shifty. So there were times where I was dropping weight, not because I was working out extra or was eating extra healthy. It was mainly because a caloric deficit induced courtesy of relational stress that made me just lose my appetite. So, and here's the weird thing about stress, and then sometimes when depressive moods kick in, is that one or two things will happen. Either scenario one, which happens to a lot of people, and I can really relate to a lot of you watching that may have gone through this. You get depressed, you get stressed the hell out, and before you know it, your butt's going to McDonald's, or Dunkin' Donuts, 7-Eleven, the Chicken Express, or, what have you. Before you know it, that's what ended up happening. And then before you know it, all the progress, all the hard work you made, all of a sudden goes out the window. Not simply because of the food itself, but because of the fact that now all of a sudden you got all these excess calories coming in that you were not intaking before. A lot of saturated fat crawling in, not crawling, more like marching in there. You got all those trans fats that like to sneak their way in, processed sugars, and junky carbs. And I say junky because not all carbs are of the devil. If you're having your complex carbs, your healthy carbs, it's only going to promote good gut health. So, having said that, you get all this junk coming in, and then all that excess cholesterol, which is just giving a big old middle finger to your heart and your arteries. That's just the reality of it. And then before you know it, you're wondering why your cholesterol levels are low. The interesting with, again, as I mentioned in the very first video I posted about my weight loss journey, I was lucky to have never had my cholesterol level not even close to 150, my total cholesterol. I've always had it beneath that, the 140, 130 range at that time. Currently, right now in 2019, my total cholesterol is at, 104, which is pretty awesome, you know what I mean? Because last year in 2018, I was at 124. No, 127, and now I'm at 104. That's a huge difference from a changing of diet and consistency. Excuse me. I think it's the guava nectar juice talking. Having said that again, that in itself is a pain in the butt. The other aspect of when you get these depressive moods and stress, because again, I mentioned two. Number two of the scenarios that can happen, you stop having an appetite. So then all of a sudden, you're having a caloric deficit, which means you're having less energy going in than what you're putting out. So, because one of the key things, and this is the basic aspect of weight loss, is it's the game of calories in versus calories out. If you're putting in more than what your body's burning in a 24-hour period, I got news for you, you're going to gain weight. Plain and simple. Now, the quality of the weight gain, that's a whole other discussion, whole other conversation. But that's usually the name of the game. If you have less calories coming into your system than what your body is burning in a 24-hour period, then, eventually your weight's going to drop. Of course, it's a little different for the ladies because, again, time of the month. I got no other way to explain that. So, that out of the way. Now, the cool part that was happening throughout the year of 2011, wardrobe changes. By that I mean, as I mentioned in 2008, I was borderline size 48 to size 50 in pants, right? And usually I always feel more comfortable wearing it around my hip instead of my waist, only because, you wear it around the waist, you almost feel like the Nutty Professor or Humpty Dumpty or whatever, right? But, and then in shirts, at that time I was wearing 3X, almost borderline 4X. By this point in 2011, I was in that point where I was swinging between extra large and large, which is good, and this isn't even accounting for any changes in terms of your body composition, not counting, and not even taking into account, the aspect of measuring your shoulder and chest measurements, or even your weight or hip, and none of that. When it came to, when it came to my pants, now I was down to 38 and 40. So again, there were changes going on there. And thankfully, even though my weight would fluctuate, the main thing that would always be the issue is the shirt size, not so much the pants. And it was a pain in the butt, because you know what? I was already used to wearing double XL, triple XL, 46, 48, 50 in pants, and then all of a sudden it's like, so Ronnie, you're going to have to start buying new clothes, because a lot of these clothes are a little loose. So, and then, at the time, the person I was dating was in Staten Island. And if I wasn't dating someone from Staten Island, it was someone from Brooklyn. But point being, my favorite place to go, aside from your typical mom and pop store, in Brooklyn, wherever you went, Old Navy, or as Old Gravy as we used to call it. Go there, go to the clearance section, pick stuff out that fits, that look decent, so on and so forth. There was a lot of stress going on also because my best friend was going through some stuff, and then, and one of my other best friends going through stuff too. You know, we were all lost in the sauce, to put it best. You know, we had gone through maybe like 2 years of not gigging together, not performing together. So, you know, Brotherhood of Outcasts was MIA. So that also played into the factor of the struggles I was having in 2011. And again, hence the weight swinging up and down, up and down. I really don't have much else to say beyond this, but I did just want to just give you guys a quick recap of whatever you missed in the last video and explain to you what 2011 was and where I was standing with this. Next week, I may not put any videos as I will be in Brooklyn for vacation for a couple of days, but you might see some stuff on Instagram. So just follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/RonGunsOfficial. Go to Instagram at RonGunsOfficial, Twitter at RonGuns. Again, just look me up, let's connect, let's talk. And if any of you have any questions, any of you are looking for someone to help, you know, get things together, to make a better you, you know, make things happen for you and, you know, help you, you know, making your best life, just hit your boy Ron up. All right? Later.